I saw that the NBA is going to look into this. Did you see the game between the Pistons and the Magic? I believe it was Game 2 from their series. And the whole debacle with the clock and do you guys know what I'm talking about? Let me paint the picture. Orlando was up 3 on Detroit. And there is something like 5.1 seconds left on the clock. All right, Detroit inbounds the ball, but the clock never starts. Okay, they dribble across the half-court line, pass the ball around a few times. All the while, the clock is not moving. The clock is not moving at all. Finally, Chauncey Billups tosses up a 3 that goes in. Ball game's tied. But the clock had never started. And they went back through, and they timed the possession. And the time of the actual possession exceeded the time on the clock. So that shot should not have counted. But due to a technicality, which are, that's how you know what they say when something is due to a technicality. What that means is due to a rule that's wrong. Right? Due to a rule that needs fixed. That's what we call a technicality. Due to a technicality that says that referees are not allowed to review any shots unless there's 0 seconds on the clock. So they weren't allowed to review the situation. They weren't allowed to go back and see if that possession actually exceeded the amount of time that was on the clock. Weren't allowed to do that because of the clock malfunction, because of the initial malfunction. Because the clock didn't tick itself down to 0. Because of that technicality, the referees had no power over that situation. They had to give Detroit the basket. The game went to overtime. Detroit wins. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Listen, I don't know. Jam your technicality up your ass. That is the stupidest thing. The stupidest. Why would you not why would you not be able to fix that out? Something that's obviously wrong. It's obviously wrong. It is obviously wrong. I mean, but we can't fix it due to a technicality. Well, screw technicalities. That's wrong. The wrong team won that game. That should have been fixed right then and there. There shouldn't be that technicality. A referee, listen, there are a team of officials working every NBA game. If all those officials together agree that they need to review the play in question, that should be enough. That should be enough for them to be able to look at the play again. If all the officials there agree on it, that should be enough. Forget the technique, forget 0 on the clock, forget any of that. If these guys feel they need to watch a play again, then they should. And they should be allowed to. Because that is absolutely, the wrong team won. The wrong team won. Who knows how that series might have gone had Orlando won that game. Who knows? They lost the series, ultimately, which sucks. I'm so sick of Detroit. But, who knows? So I'm glad to see that the NBA is going to attempt to fix this going into next season. According to David Stern. They're going to really take a look at that and figure out what they can do to fix, that kind of a situation. Should that happen again? I was watching that game in just total disgust. And I knew when it went to overtime, Orlando didn't have a chance. I knew it. Everybody knew. You could feel it. That whole situation just kind of sucked the life right out of the Orlando Magic that night. It was bad to see. It really upset me. And it's just dumb. Technicality, that's the stupid. Due to a technicality, there should never be anything due to a technicality. Well, this isn't right due to a technicality. Forget technicality. Make it right. Make it right there. Just dumb. And so even if Detroit would have taken that series, even if Orlando gets the win in Game 2, Detroit goes on to win the series, that's a whole other game they need to play. That's a whole other game they have to play. Right? But now, and as Smith points out in the chat room, he says, I don't know if the Celtics can beat Detroit in the series. They have to be drained from playing in back-to-back Game 7s. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But Detroit doesn't have to worry about that. They got a free game. There's a whole game they didn't even have to play due to a technicality. So now they, and it's like a domino effect. Now, in the next series, they have an advantage. Not only are they playing a team that's played back-to-back 7-game series, they got an entire game off. They got a free win. They would have had to come back and win. I believe Detroit would have beaten Orlando ultimately in the series, but they would have had to do it in another game. They would have had to play at least one more game than they did. And momentum's a big thing. Had Orlando won Game 2, who knows what would have happened Game 3 and Game 4. That series could have gone 7-2 if Orlando would have got some momentum going early, and a win in Game 2 would have helped. Would have helped a lot.